welcome to Coffee Chat with Seismic. I am Steph Jackman, based out of Boston. These chats will give you a sense of how our collective community is adapting to the evolving business environment. Today, I'm here virtually with Bill Finnegan, Seismic's VP of Corporate Marketing, as he shares insights on how to harness the power of digital storytelling. But before we kick off, I have one question for you, Bill. What is your go-to morning beverage?
My go-to morning beverage this time of year is iced coffee. I generally buy it at Dunkin' Donuts, not at Starbucks. Because when I go to Starbucks and I walk in, they always like, can I have your name? And I'm like, I'm not looking for a relationship. I just want a cup of coffee. And I go to Dunkin' Donuts and I say, can you give me a large iced coffee, light with sugar? Now, admittedly, they almost never get it right, but I've grown comfortable with that idea. So that's generally my play in the summertime. In any event, you were saying.
Anyways, carrying on, getting into the good stuff. So can you tell me a little bit about why storytelling is more important now than ever?
To be quite candid, there's just a lot of noise. There's a lot of clutter, and you've got to find a way to break through. So your story has got to resonate with people. So when you think about how to break through the noise, I think it comes down to this, your success in improving your buyer experience is like 100% dependent on the ability to tell your story in some type of meaningful, exciting way, because it needs to resonate not only in person, it has to go 24/7 through all channels. So whether that's a digital channel, electronic channel, a web, a social, you name it, that challenge is real. So your story has got to get there, because there's three things that make a story, right? First of all, it should be true, or at least aspirationally true. It has to be memorable, and it has to be repeatable. So if you can't land those three things, you're going to have a challenge.
What are some three best practices for storytelling, and what are some examples of each?
Yes, I learned a famous phrase years ago, and I'm not even sure who said it, but the three things you always want to focus on in storytelling is, first, be brief. Second is be bold. And third is be done. So those are the three B's of storytelling and trying to be memorable. Yeah, I'm guessing you might want a little color. To give you a little bit color on the be brief, it's really important that you find a way to kind of connect and demonstrate that you know the person that you're talking to and that their time is valuable. So when you have a point to make, you should really get to it. And years ago, a guy by the name of Mark Manaka, who was a partner of Seismic's, he runs a firm called Lego. He did this training, and I'll never forget it. He said, well, what do you do for a living, Steph? And you would say something like, well, I'm in charge of PR comms for Seismic. And then he would say directly to you, so what? Like, is that going to keep me intrigued at a cocktail party? Well, possibly, because you're you. However, there has to be something more to it. And his point was, can you get me interested in a really short period of time? So when I think about it from my perspective, well, Bill, what do you do? Well, I work in, corporate marketing for Seismic. And he would say, as you might say,
what?
So what? I need a new drink. However, if I said, well, what I do for my firm, Seismic, is I show with proof how to measure your client experience and engagement, how to give you powerful brand execution with significant return on investment. Which one of these are important to you? Now, I did that with an open-ended question. I don't want you to say no or yes. I want you to have to make a choice. Now, you could say none of them. You could. However, I don't know the person that doesn't want to improve the experience, because that's what this is all about. Your story is improving the experience in the journey. And you're going to get return on your investment above what you spent. That means there's a positive return on your investment. And you're going to have better brand execution. I think most people sign up for that. And then if you think about the be bold part, it's say it with conviction. And someone said to me years ago, often wrong, never in doubt, say it with conviction, people will believe you. Now, I'm not suggesting you should lie. However, I do think you have to say it with conviction and enthusiasm, because that will translate. People will be enthusiastic about what you're saying if you're enthusiastic saying it. And then finally, I said, be done. I try to live by that: go as fast as you can, be quick, but make sure your story gets across and give up the person a chance to react. And that is part of the open-ended question at the end. Are any of these important to you? Then they're in the conversation set. So that's kind of how I look at kind of the key elements.
Awesome. Okay. So switching gears a little bit, thinking about kind of the nature and the channels in which we tell stories. When you think about how storytelling has to be done digitally now, what are some of the biggest challenges to telling a story in this newer format?
I'm probably an older line salesperson. I grew up going and meeting people, and you get a really good firsthand take when someone's right in front of you. And I can get your attention because I'm the only other person in the room, and it's hard for you to drift off and do something else. However, in this environment, it's not that easy to keep someone from being distracted, because right now I'm talking to you and I can see your face, but you could be typing something. You could be looking at something else in the room. I mean, as adorable as I am, you know, being engaging all the time is not that easy. But I think now that we're in this environment, and I think the world was trending this way anyway, towards digital communication, and I think there has been a speed up to it due to COVID. So I make it a habit of trying to make sure that everybody's on the video screen. And I will kid about it. Like, I will have mine on right away, but I might also say, you know, I have my camera on. Is that okay? And would you like me to shut mine off? Or would you like to turn yours on? The more I can get closer to you as a salesperson, the better I feel about my opportunity to engage and win your approval in some way. And how do I demonstrate to you that I know, I heard what you said, I understand what you need, and I can customize a follow-up that speaks specifically to those things, and that I can track your engagement with what I sent you. If you can do those things, which is I can find a better way to engage with you face to face, or at least screen to screen, I can give you a meaningful follow-up that's personalized and customized to what your needs are, and I can figure out, the computer will tell me, what you did with it. Well, then I know what to do next. So I think the tracking may be the most important part of the engagement.
So we talked a little bit about how to track and be able to measure whether or not someone was engaged in the digital story that you just told, but is there a strategy or a best practice you would suggest in terms of actually being effective at telling a digital story?
When I think about it kind of like a multi-channel story. So that this one channel is you and I face to face. So if I'm face to face with a buyer or a customer or a prospect, I can get some sense even on a video screen what's going on. But I have to be able to make that happen, as I said earlier, 24/7 across multiple channels. To me, that's what's really important in this conversation. Can I be engaging across channels? So does my website align to what I'm saying? Does my electronic follow-up align? Do our social channels align? So that no matter where you go, you're hearing that thing I said earlier, that memorable, true, memorable, repeatable story. It goes back a couple of years, but whenever you saw a McDonald's commercial, you always knew, even if you weren't watching the TV, it was a McDonald's commercial, because it always finished with the same jingle. And that jingle's now in your head since I said it.
Yes.
So, and everyone knows it. So that's what has to happen across all of these channels. So it really is time now that we've moved towards more digital style communication, that you come up with some type of immersive technology. Instead of me sending, you know, oh, Steph, it was a great talking to you. Let me send you a white paper. And it's like, oh, I would rather throw myself out a window than get another white paper. Now, don't get me wrong. Some people love white papers, and they are loved by somebody, thank God, just not me. So how do I make that white paper come alive? And how do I show within that white paper what is most interesting to you? And how do I make the charts in the white paper dynamic so you can interact with them? And how do I open it with a video of me saying, Steph, it was great spending time with you today. I heard a couple things in the conversation that I wanted to follow up on. And here they are. If you look right to the right of the screen, you'll see a click list. You can click into any of those areas and it will expose a little bit more of what we talked about today. I hope to speak with you soon. Now that's a video that's coming across the screen. Well, wow, that's much better than me sending you a white paper, and you'll see on page 37, the chart goes down. Not sure that's what people are going for. So I think the immersive, rich engagement that allows the viewer to drive, I think that much more closely aligns to what the personal experiences people are having on their digital devices.
If you think about the concept of digital transformation as something a lot of businesses have been striving to for years now, what about how digital transformation and digital storytelling intersect has been accelerated given the environment we're in now?
I think it's absolutely been accelerated. And we're lucky enough to have more than 600 customers that use our technology every day. And we know from usage patterns that from last April of 2019 to April of 2020, the users on our platform have gone up like 3x, 300% more times are people using our technology to engage with their customers. I think the trend was already firmly in place and it kind of ports over from the B2C world. If you think about the experience you're having on Amazon or the experience you're having, say, on Netflix, or if you're a music junkie and you like Spotify, if you think of those experiences, they all have the ability of determining what you want, when you want it, and perhaps before you even know you want it. Because they're doing lots of intelligence work in the background to determine what your ideal profile is and who do you align to and what are those people either buying, watching, or listening to. Many companies, many of our customers are there. And this is from the largest brands in the world to mid-market companies to even smaller companies have recognized that I have to have a better digital engagement profile, better marketing technology, so that one, I can educate my own sales force about what's important. Two, I can show them what's working in the marketplace. Three, they can engage, whether it's digitally like this, we're on some type of video graphic interface, need to be there so that when your customer moves, you can move with them. And when you think about the workforce too, the folks entering the workforce are so digitally savvy. They're expecting to be on that field. If I'm calling you on a landline, that may trigger something in someone's mind that I'm not the hippest guy in town. By using a multiple pronged approach, you will have a better opportunity to find that kind of that kernel of goodness you're looking for to engage with somebody.
That's great. Okay, so I think those are the majority of the questions I have for you, but I want to sign off with some fun rapid fire questions so that our audience can really get to know you.
Right. Okay.
A widely known secret about you is that you were actually a customer of Seismic's. You were the previous CMO of AMG Funds. Mm-hmm. How has it been kind of making the switch over to the startup world of open concepts and snacks and the typical tech startup environment?
It's been incredibly invigorating. And I had been in the financial world in insurance and investments for longer than I'd like to admit. It wasn't like I said, I want to go join a SaaS company. But I was looking at my career and saying, I've done this for a long, long time and I love it, but I'd love to try something different. When I looked and was looking for a solution to a problem I had at my prior firm, I came upon Seismic. And looking at Seismic and admittedly some of Seismic's competitors, do I like the people that are bringing the product to me? And that's really important to me because trust is a big deal. It's hard earned and easily lost. And from my first engagement with Seismic to the next person I engage with, to the next, it was always a positive experience. So I looked at it and said, that's a place I would like to work. And I was lucky enough when I called that they said, sure, you can come start in the mailroom and see how you do. And it's worked out. So it's been a great experience.
An amazing job in the mailroom.
Thank you. Thank you. Great.
So I know that there is a writer or producer with the same name as you. Would you call him one of your favorite storytellers, or is it somebody else?
William H. Finnegan. He is a really good storyteller. I hope he says the same about me, but he's probably a little bit better known than I am. And what was his last book, The Surfer's Guide? It was great. I did read it. And I actually feel a connection to him anyway, because when I was a kid, and I learned this reading his book, William H. Finnegan used to come on the TV screen after like Hawaii Five-0 or something. And that was his dad was the creator producer of that show. I hope to be as good a storyteller as he is. That would be, if businesses could aspire to that, I think they would be in very good shape.
Speaking of Hawaii Five-0, what was the last show that you binge watched?
Well, during COVID, my children who don't live in this area returned home. So we watched, what was it, The Tiger King? We watched we're all Ozark fans. So we were binging on Ozark. And that to me is one of those stories like you want to turn away and you just can't. So that was probably the biggest binge we did. And we binged.
If you could have one office snack at your desk for the rest of your life, what would it be?
The only snack I would choose to have anywhere for the rest of my life is Oreos. In fact, when my wife and I got married more than 30 years ago, the only thing that's in the prenuptial agreement is Oreos. So if she fails to deliver the Oreos, I think we're doomed, although I think her list of failures is far longer than my list of failures. Oreos would be the winner.
If you could be on vacation anywhere in the world right now, where would it be?
It's fun. This is interesting. Having traveled my entire life, so I've got, well over 2 million air miles and been in lots of places. My favorite place is home. I like coming home and I like doing things around the house. However, if I do go someplace, I love the European continent. And you can drop me almost any place there and I'm going to enjoy it. I'm a bit of a history buff, so I kind of like all those things and I like spending time there.
That's all I got. Thanks, everyone. Make sure you tune to our next coffee chat as we move to Australia for a conversation with Seismic's head of marketing for APAC, Iris Chan.